I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and I'm so sorry to talk about this again. I'm so sorry. Candace Owens did respond to Erika Kirk. We talked about Erika Kirk yesterday, so she did respond to it. And I'm not surprised, not in the least bit. And she was already attacking Erika Kirk, but it's official. She came out and said some pretty horrific things, I would say. And then I found out some interesting things today about, you guys know she used to run a liberal blog, right? And she wrote, I knew she wrote some negative things about Trump and Tea Party people here or there, but I didn't realize how interesting her articles were. So there was one about how affairs are romantic and other things. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. And some of the stuff she wrote in 2016, and that was, still in her Democrat era. Everyone knows that she had a conversion, quote unquote. I doubt how much that was authentic, but just some of the things that she was saying was so off the wall. It seems pretty crazy that only about a year later, that she was working for Turning Point. And I think, frankly, I just think she really grifted a lot of people and really knows how to play folks. And you can see it in the way that she's framing her support and the people who attack her and so on. And we'll chit chat about that today. But I'm not. Some of the things that she said were shocking. And I think part of all this is her saying shocking things, knowing that people will talk about it and will go watch her stuff. I don't go and watch her stuff on her feed and really, I try not to, unless I really need to go and see that context or whatever further in full entirety. I don't peruse around her page too much. And I'll admittedly am looking at clips or the short form videos that maybe someone will post on X or TikTok or something. Some of the stuff was just heinous, that she was saying, so off the wall and really sick. And some people are deeper into the theory that she was in love with Charlie and is angry and burning everything down. She really comes across as a character in a Tyler Perry movie. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm totally into that. I think her being pro-affair was an interesting find, though. But I think, at least I'm hearing from some other people that she didn't care too much for Charlie either. But it could have been because she wasn't picked. I don't know. But it could just really be about, this gets eyeballs on me. I keep escalating. People keep watching. There is narcissism there. There's money and fame attached to it. And people have said, just why are you talking about it? Why do you have to talk? Because I am very concerned that I have overlap with this woman, and that there's a lot of people who Candace calls them mommy sleuths, who watch her stuff, are dedicated to her stuff, and they keep lifting her up. And I'm trying to maybe pull you guys back out of that. If there's anyone who cares about what I have to say, I'm trying to say this is a toxic individual who is lying and trying to destroy the conservative movement. And I very much want people to understand that. Ali Stuckey, Best Stuckey, was called out by Candace yesterday, and she wrote a post about it, and she said, I didn't make my broadcasts addressing all the spiritual stuff for Candace. I did it for the women in my audience so they can have a biblical understanding of how to deal with these situations. And I can believe that. And there's a lot of people like, no, you were calling out Candace. It was like inspired by Candace, no doubt, but it wasn't because she wasn't preaching directly to Candace, because she expected Candace herself to, turn her heart of stone into a heart of flesh. That's not why Allie did it. Praise God if that's what would happen. But she's trying to give clarity to the women in her audience. So I've been trying to give clarity to people for a while about this topic, but also beyond just the audience members, I'm hoping that other influencers or people who are coming up as an influencer, people out there already, will begin to reassess how they handle certain things. And I hate to talk about Charlie because he's no longer with us, but if he could, if in hindsight, if he got the heads up that this kind of stuff would be going on after he was murdered, that turning point, and his wife would have to deal with all of this Candace drama, I think he would have acted a little bit differently concerning her. Maybe he wouldn't have. But I didn't always agree with Charlie Kirk, and I didn't agree with how he handled things, and I don't think it's too terrible to say that right now. That this should have been dealt with earlier, and other people should have stood up as well, because they weren't having just minor disagreements. There were really immoral things that Candace and Tucker and other folks have been saying and doing for a while now. And as much as Candace Owens is a problem right now, I really don't understand Turning Point still having connections with Tucker. Like, I know Charlie was digging his heels and didn't like to be told what to do, but he's also promoting her conspiracies and as well. We touched on that yesterday. So if you want to keep creating problems like this, let your cancers keep growing, but if you want to make everyone well, your party well, your tent well, then you got to gatekeep a bit. And you got to call out people when they're wrong, and hope you do it. You try to do it respectfully and maybe privately, at least a little bit at first, especially if you know them, and hopefully that correction will work and you can have a good conversation. But when we live our lives publicly and we commentate on things all the time, you can't expect people to not be like, hey, how come you're not saying anything about this thing that's completely contrary to our movement? I know you guys are cool and you talk all the time. Like, do you endorse this? Like, are you going to correct those are obvious things that people want some kind of response to. It's obvious. Okay. Someone said the Tyler Perry comment got me. Isn't that what it feels like? Isn't that what it feels like? A Tyler Perry, kind of film where it's a crazy maybe woman who's into someone else's husband and it goes sideways real quick. That that's what it feels like to me. I mean, it's not just Tyler Perry or whatever. There's kind of all kinds of films like that, but in TV shows and stuff. But like that movie with Beyonce, "You Touch My Child," terrible acting. But I don't even remember what it's called. I just remember that line, "You touched my child," when she decided to take out Claire. Was it Claire from Final Destination? Maybe was the person in the film with her. I'm not sure. It was a long time ago. I only saw it the one time, but you guys know there's movies like that. Anyway, before I jump at everything, I encourage you guys to go blacknews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream on my site. All that stuff, so you guys can't support. I very much appreciate it and appreciate you guys. I don't beg, but I do ask occasionally. So if you guys can help, I very much do appreciate it. You guys can check out different merch that's available on my website and different mugs and so on, and t-shirts and different books and things that are available on my website. Like my sister was talking about trying to put together like a portfolio or whatever today. And so she's like, "Oh, what if, people don't like this cover and stuff because of politics and what it is?" I'm like, "Man, she did a good job." Like it's too bad that, people will be triggered. I'm like, it'd be terrible if people were triggered about that. But anyway, you guys can check out the book. My sister Tina is the one who did that cover for, of course, God's Blatantly Against Abortion, drawing the hand of the baby, Reach Under God. By the way, she also did my illustrations for my children's book, Bigger. So if you guys haven't checked that out, there's a link in the description that'll take my book website where you guys can get a signed copy of Bigger. So go ahead and check that out. I have many more books as well, a lot. So check them out. Anyway, let's hop to it. Unfortunately, there's a lot to say about how Candace decided to react to Erika. So yesterday she went on Fox News. She didn't just go on Fox News. She also went on CBS. And Candace, before she does her live, she does like a little video to say what's going to happen before she goes live. And so some people were like, "Oh, well, Erika didn't say Candace by name." Now, people obviously knew that she was talking about Candace Owens, and Candace Owens knew she was talking about Candace Owens, but also she knew, I didn't watch this one till this morning, but she was aware that specifically Barry Weiss on CBS asked Erika about Candace specifically.
Okay, super fun show today. You're probably seeing the clips, but Erika has gone off on conspiracy theory. Every journalist out there is emailing me because it's about me. It's indirect, but it's also about me. And don't worry, in case you think it's not about me, she is going to name check me on stage with Barry Weiss on Saturday. How do we know? Because our mommy sleuths be everywhere, and they recorded the town hall today. And as soon as the town hall concluded, we got a flutter of emails. And what she says about the Egyptian planes, I'm sorry, not gonna lie, it's a little suspicious. It's weird. It's a weird response. So look, we gotta go there.
Reminds me of Rachel Zegler. Weird. Just smiling, all happy, so happy that this has happened. Finally, she gets to just be outright about it, just upfront about her attacking Erika instead of doing this passive aggressive way. Now, some people don't believe or try to say that she wasn't accusing Erika of anything. So I saw a comment about that this morning or last night on a TikTok of mine. And of course, when Ben Shapiro said Candace has been accusing people like Josh Hammer and Seth Dillon. I don't know if he said Josh Hammer and Seth Dillon. I think he said one or the other. But in Erika Kirk of killing her husband, of being involved or whatever. And Megan's like, she's accusing Erika. He's like, yes. And so, Megyn Kelly was all like, I'm not the mother of the internet. Like, I don't need to comment on this stuff. And Ben is just like, why aren't you commenting on it? Like, why wouldn't you want to comment on this stuff? Because we are commentators. It's weird to not commentate, right? Especially on hot topics and so on that are political and within our sphere. And she's battled her, at least verbally, not like vocally, but like on X before. So it's not like they haven't crossed paths and had beef. And then she later came out and was like, I looked into it and Ben lied. Ben was wrong. And I was so annoyed with Megyn Kelly because when it came to Tucker Carlson and Ben talking about Tucker, she's like, why do I have to defend Tucker? And then she'd like bended all kinds of different ways to act as Tucker's defense. And she immediately was like, oh, Ben lied. I looked into it. Ben lied. Well, how much did you look into it, Megyn? Because you were acting like you didn't know anything about it. And then all of a sudden, you know enough to be like, Ben lied. Oh, so, Candace has been obviously attacking Erika the whole entire time. And some people are like, no, she's been sympathetic to Erika. You poor, sweet summer children. Okay. She has been saying that his whole life was a lie, nothing in his world was real, that he was replaced. He was a good slave before, and now he wasn't a good slave, and he was going to come out against Israel, and so he needed to be replaced by someone, and someone people who would like go along with it or whatever. Well, who was he replaced with? He's replaced with Erika, and everyone else is covering it up, and everyone else is going along like good little slaves because Charlie wouldn't do anymore. Like who else would you be accusing the stuff of? But the thing that was more blatant was how she questioned the succession plan. So everyone's like, oh yeah, of course it's gonna be Erika, his wife, his rib, his other half, the person that makes him whole. Of course it's gonna be his wife. And by the way, it's not strange at all for wives to take over their husband's companies. It's not. It's not. Some people have been sick enough to say Erika taking over Turning Point is DEI. You losers still don't know what DEI is, but no, absolutely not. But it's not so strange. But she got to be near him the most, hear his thoughts, and Turning Point all decided like, yeah, it's going to be Erika. And then there's these journals and these plans that he had. And Candace Owens questioned the validity of those journals. Like, is it like that's a boy genius? He wouldn't have a will. We're supposed to believe these journals. Totally coming for Erika. Why would you do that? Why would you do? And then the Egyptian planes. The Egyptian plane story. What is the point of throwing out the Egyptian plane story and saying that they're following Erika for years? Why would they be following Erika for years? How does it play a role into the story of everything that happened? If the planes weren't following Charlie and they were following Erika for years, and they somehow tie into his death, how is she not like implicated in that some kind of way? Is she some kind of Egyptian spy? Like what are you even accusing or saying with these crazy theories? Which, by the way, we already talked about the Egyptian plane thing yesterday, but they're in the same state within like 3 days of each other, not like same airport or touching with people on the ground specifically. It's such an absurd thing, and that Tucker was like, oh, that's absolutely real. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. So there's other things, but obviously she's been gunning for it, and so she's smiling like, oh, it's totally about me. It's totally about me. She's happy that she gets to finally talk about this. Okay. Someone says Candace needs prayers because she's a nut job. I don't think she's totally crazy. Like I think the level of narcissism, sure, but some people believe that she had like a psychotic break after pregnancy and is some kind of psychosis or something. I don't think that. I just think she's always known that she's like Diddy in a way, like that controversy just can catapult you into the public sphere, into success. And so that's what she's thrived off of. That's why the clickbaity titles, I'm gonna tell it like it is. It's not just telling stuff like it is. It's like going for the jugular like all the time and saying, like when one of her most viral videos when she first started, or was the viral video when she decided to cross over the threshold, was I don't care about Charlottesville and KKK and all this stuff. And she said a lot of things that Republicans wanted to hear about, like how racism is not that the media is really focusing on it, et cetera, et cetera. But that was a terrible day. Like why would you say I don't care about that? Like, I know that's a headline to get attention, but I know people do that kind of stuff all the time online. But What a horrific thing to say. Someone lost their life that day. Like when Nick Fuentes says that was an amazing day, someone died. I was stunned when I heard about, because I think I didn't hear about it till like way later, because I was living my life, doing my own thing, and then I heard about them. Like, what is wrong with the world? What is wrong with the world? But that's how she came right out the gate. And I, just from experience, I know when I would do a video about BLM or something, and I'm like going off because I was upset and a little hot, that stuff would do very well. I do like it normal talking in the video camera. Doesn't do is what people like it to be bigger and louder and all that stuff. Now I just don't have it in me to do that all the time. And that's not how I feel all the time. And I just want to be me. I'm not putting on a show for you guys. But I know people are like, okay, this makes me this kind of views, and I'm gonna do this thing and say this thing and take it to the next level. Like Tim Pool said the other day that there's some people who wish that they could be as evil as Candace because she just always takes it to the next extreme in order to get views. And her views, I guess Cam Higby reported they were kind of dipping and stuff before Charlie died, and now of course they're through the roof. But anyway, we watched a clip from Fox News yesterday. So this is a short clip from CBS with Barry, where she is directly addressed about Candace Owens.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
The podcaster can.
Yep, that's all. And we know Candace Owens said that after Charlie's passed, there was like, Charlie was, never really want to say anything about you because you were his friend. Like, please be a good friend to him as he was to you. She's like, I'm not going to stop unless my husband or Erika tells me to. Well, she said stop, and Candace isn't stopping. She's not stopping. So, what did she say yesterday? A couple things that were pretty gross. So we'll start with the funeral thing where she compared it to Meghan Markle.
This is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the, so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that. But this is my husband, and I want to be able to have one thing left that is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents. One thing.
Okay, so on its face, I actually agree with that. I think that when people are being buried and where they're being buried and how their funerals are done, that is very private matter. Okay.
Just FYI, because I had forgotten this. There's so much stuff that comes out of her mouth and alternates or whatever. But I just saw a clip that someone did a video that reminded me of this. Candace Owens, she's like, oh, that is very private, and there's going to be a big butt coming. So prepare yourself for the butt. But Candace, remember when she was saying that Charlie Kirk betrayed Israel or was no longer on the Israel train, and anyway, that's why they killed him. And also that Charlie was becoming Catholic. And he's praying in the rosary and all this stuff. She said that they did a Catholic mass and he was buried in a Catholic cemetery. So that's what she was pushing. Now, there are some people pushing that he's not even dead, that they didn't even bury him. But she put it out there that they had a Catholic funeral and he was in a Catholic cemetery. So if she thinks that's private information, she certainly didn't keep it private when she was pushing her conspiracies, and then denied that she said he was becoming Catholic, and also denied that Bibi Netanyahu offered $150 million bribe.
Okay, so objectively, I agree with what she's saying, okay? But subjectively, because we are dealing with the subject of Erika Kirk and what transpired immediately following Charlie's assassination, this is going to be read as Meghan Markle syndrome, okay? Meghan Markle syndrome, where you want privacy when you want it, but you want publicity whenever you want it, and that just doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work that way. I honestly think it was said best by Bethany Frankel, not related to this situation. Bethany Frankel is on Real Housewives, a show, a reality show. And she was referring to one of the housewives who lived her life very publicly, showcased her marriage, was buying tons of Louis Vuitton bags, and they had tons of money. And then when the relationship soured, the housewife basically asked the public for privacy. And Bethany was like, no, this isn't how it works. Like, we're riding with you on the way up. We're riding with you on the way out. You don't get to like pick and choose when you want privacy and when you don't want privacy. And subjectively, as it, in the matter of Erika Kirk, this is the same person who had somebody record her over Charlie Kirk's casket. That was not our business, truly. And I can say that decision was made by her. And there is, some credence to the claim that everybody grieves differently. I wouldn't even record myself over a casket ever, okay? Some people maybe perhaps want to have that memory. But the decision to publish that, you crying over your husband's casket, and to publish his dead body on Instagram was a decision that was made by Erika. And we can watch that. Take a look.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. I love you. I love you. God bless you.
That is an incredibly personal and an incredibly intimate moment that you invited the public into. Okay, there was no reason to do that outside of wanting to share something that was very private with the public. And now you fast forward 3 months removed, and it's why does the public want to know where he's buried? It doesn't work like that. You have to make a decision. I want this always to be private, or I want this always to be public.
That's not how it works.
That's my personal feedback there. Later on in this same interview, she launches into a strong defense of Turning Point USA employees.
Okay. This is sick, right? Everybody knows this is sick. Right? That deciding, if you guys recall the video that she reacted to when she was on Fox, when Harris Faulkner asked her about people asking questions about where he's buried, she said, "Can't I have one thing? I don't want radical people coming up to the gravesite and desecrating his grave." We all know that would happen if that was public information. We all know that would happen. Maybe there'd be some crazy Candace supporter who would go and try to dig him up. We don't know. We don't know, but we know Candace tried to use his burial site to prove her Catholic conspiracies. So she's already tried to use that for her own sick games. And now she's saying, well, you can't just have it one way and post a video over the casket and then be like, they don't have a right to know where he's buried. Yeah, she absolutely can't. That's not the same thing. And maybe she naively kind of thought the world was grieving with her at that point. And now she's like, oh my gosh, all these people really, 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 really hate my husband. And it's not just people on the left. These conspiracies have gotten out of hand. So why? Maybe it's something not only that she wants, but his parents. I wonder what his parents are thinking during all this, because they're apparently very private and not from what I heard is like actively or whatever political, like in the same kind of mindsets and stuff that he is. So they're very private people, and their son had the most public memorial with all the president and vice president, all these folks coming to the memorial. And that was the public grieving together. But as far as the actual funeral itself, it was private. Where he's buried is private. I'm gonna be like, y'all can cremate me, man. Drop my ashes in the Sea of Galilee. Sing how great is our God. This is crazy. Crazy. So Kit Kat said Matt Walsh had a great take. People criticizing Erika should shut up because she is damned if she does, damned if she doesn't, and with quite literally everything. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It doesn't matter what she says or what she does. And you know what, Candace Owens' audience, many of them have been able to pick up that she's been subtly attacking Erika, and they've been waiting for her to just kind of openly do it. And Candace seems very gleeful to finally be able to do it as well. But we know that she's been doing it for a while. This was sick. This was sick. And to compare her to Meghan Markle. There are some private things that they still do. Like they'll show the pictures of their kids, but not their faces. Like there's a balance that they've been still trying to keep in their lives, including Charlie doing this whole Sabbath thing and no more phones, shutting everything out and just reconnecting with God, sundown Friday night. Like, it's incredible that she went that route and really tried to make the case that she doesn't have a right to privacy in regards to where the gravesite is, because she posted that moment on Instagram. People live stream funerals and video record them for people to share and grieve and stuff together. A lot of people thought that was weird. People asked us after my mom's funeral, like, did you guys record it? And we're like, no. It was a thought that crossed our mind, but there's already so much stuff going on, and we're the ones who do camera stuff. So like, who would even do that? I don't know. I guess we could have asked the church, because they had a lot of audio stuff, and I guess they would have did it. But no, we didn't ask, and we didn't record it. We'll just have the memories of everything that happened. But I don't. Maybe she thought that moment was a little therapeutic, like when my sisters like did my mom's nails, because they didn't the funeral home didn't do the nails, and my mom, she didn't want her nails looking messed up, so they're just like, we gotta make sure our mom's nails look good. And they also put one of her long ponytails in her hair, and just to make sure that she looked good. But you go through this traumatic thing, and they said it was almost kind of therapeutic, because that they are really gone, and it kind of just helps you to not, I guess, hold on so much, because all that's left there is a body. and who you loved is already, with Jesus. So I don't know. Everybody grieves differently. She made the decision that she made at the time to post that, but to think you got every right to know where her husband is buried after you push his conspiracy about the Catholic mass and funeral and stuff. How do you know that, Candace? How did you know that? There's more. There's more. This one, people said this was like a mask off kind of moment.
Well, now you're gonna have to prove that you have the ability to be a CEO and a chairman, and not just a wife who we expect emotion from. And you're rightful in that capacity. You are rightful to have emotion. You are rightful to be the aggrieved widow, but you don't get to just be widowed into the position of chairman and CEO. You don't get to respond to, well, in this case, investors, donors who have given money and are asking meaningful questions with, no, you don't get replies right now because this is the Charlie Kirk show, fam. Doesn't work this way. Okay.
The widowed into the CEO line is crazy. For more context, I think I have a longer clip, but she really didn't like Erika's response to her because she wasn't answering more questions. First of all, because Erika had said, I'm busy building, which I thought was like slay and stuff. And she said respectfully, you just didn't prioritize it. And to keep saying that, oh, this is my turning point family. And you're saying like nobody can criticize everyone else. And she said that she was emotional. She said that this is why women can't be CEOs or shouldn't be CEOs. And it's really disrespectful stuff, and how that was an emotional response, and you can't just be, you know. So why there the whole turning point is Charlie's baby and her baby, and so why wouldn't she fiercely fight for them? As far as the answering questions goes, a lot of the accusations are frankly stupid, and the Egyptian, like so much of it is stupid and doesn't make any sense, and are being pushed by people who haven't even read the indictment. Like when Candace went on CNN to talk about it, well, she was talking about something else, and they did bring up and talk about Charlie, but she was talking about that stuff on her show. She was talking about it like immediately, and wouldn't you like immediately go read the indictment if you're talking about this all the time, and didn't even know that the text messages were text messages and she thought they were just like Discord stuff? How do you get stumped by that CNN anchor? So weird. And just basic things that she pushed and other people push could be solved. Your questions could be answered if you just actually read up on what was reported. It is really a solid case against Tyler. I think people don't want it to be a solid case against Tyler. It's just insane. So I thought it was interesting that she decided to attack her in such a way, knowing that they're going to address this stuff on Monday. You're attacking Erika because she didn't answer your questions, but you know that she directed Andrew and other folks to come together on Monday to address Candace Owens' specific crazy allegations. And I'm sure they'll have clip and then they'll explain what happened. That's at least how I would do it. And then they also invited her on, and she gave all these excuses of why she couldn't do it. Oh, my kids are being homeschooled. How little are your children? It's just crazy. But she just wanted to attack her. This one's kind of interesting. When she says that Turning Point should hire her to make the psychological, I guess, manipulation look organic, which is a bit of an admission, I think.
And that the thing that is especially absurd about that is trying to like almost like, I want to be clear that Turning Point USA is my family. The Charlie Kirk show is my family. You know, like she's just expanding the wings of people that we're not allowed to critique because they're in the family. If you call them fam, you can't critique them, right? Oh, I'm sorry. We actually are showing a clip of Rob McCoy defending a pedophile or trying to like launder reputation of that's fam. That's the CK show fam. Oh, I'm sorry. We are actually pointing to the fact that we know for certain that this person in your organization is a sexual deviant. That's fam. That is my, don't you get me upset. I know that this is a now $150 million in the last 3-month organization and we employ tons of people, but you can't critique. You can't critique the fam. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to be very clear here. This is why there are many people who do not believe that women are equipped to lead companies, because what you are watching here is an unbelievably emotional response that is absent of any logic. Okay. If you really care about your team, answer the questions. Okay.
Monday.
Just demystify the entire event. Come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to like mom the organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of this multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children. Okay. The multi-million-dollar subsidiaries, Turning Point Action, all that. Those are my kids. So you can't critique them.
I wonder what Steven Crowder thinks of this particular rant, because and I just thought about this. When he was beefing with the Daily Wire, particularly at first he didn't say who it was, who he had an issue with, when it was like Big Con and stuff. And people were like speculated it was Daily Wire, and people were like, no, it's not Daily Wire. And then Jeremy Boring's like, no, I don't want you guys out here defending us when it was us. And I'm not, you don't need to defend us because the contract was fine. The contract was good. And Jeremy Boring did a video explaining the breakdown of the contract and so on. And then Steven Crowder was like, I got an audio recording, and which I didn't think was, I think it's crappy that he did that. I didn't think it was like incriminating the audio, but it just made him look bad. Steven, I covered that thing. I would like to say fairly. I did sway toward Daily Wire. Now, as far as them like being slave drivers or whatever, Jeremy kind of admitted that on the video. So he's like, yeah, we work people very hard. We have a short staff. We want to make money. So they had their beef, and Candace interjected herself in the beef. Everybody did, but you can understand because you're attacking the company and acting like it's shady. Her thing was, okay, well, you're also attacking me. I think she also wanted to be in the midst of the battle because she thrives in controversy, right? So she started talking about him too. So this idea of like, oh, you're getting emotional. This is why women, they don't think they can be CEOs because you're all trying to mother and stuff. When she, Steven Crowder, he compared Candace to a girlfriend who talks too much crap, and then the boyfriend has to go get into, and they say a bunch of stuff, and then her boyfriend has to end up fighting the guy that she was mouthing off at the bar. But yeah, she interjected herself into that conversation, which I understand why they all did it, because if you're saying everybody gets cheated in these trash contracts, everyone else with a contract is like, no, I could negotiate fine. But if she can if they can all have beef with Steven about that, why can't she understand that if you're accusing Turning Point of being in on Charlie Kirk's murder, and this is her organization, she knows it's not true. She wants justice for her husband and doesn't want like a mistrial or something like that. And she wants to protect her company and the honor of everyone that she knows. So of course, she's going to stand up for all these employees. You know what crazy? It's like she's all mother. Don't you want your company that you work for and have devoted years to stand up for you in a situation like there's like not many situations like this, but if something was going on, wouldn't you want them to stand up for you and not just kick you to the curb? Like, it's really insane. And again, they're going to answer your questions on Monday, at the thing that you don't want to go to.
Not a good idea. Okay. It may work in PR world. You guys, I know how it's an obvious PR campaign. It's never been more obvious of a psychological operation. I actually wish they would put me on payroll so I could help them make these things look more organic than having every single person that has been telling us to stop asking questions all make the exact same video within 4 seconds of each other, being like, whoa, Erika Kirk shuts down no, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies.
She did address Candace. I don't know how many people said she shut down or whatever. I think people made probably similar content to what I made yesterday. Like, she addresses Candace, and a lot of people did comment on it, obviously. But I think it's funny that she's like, they should hire, this is a psychological operation. They should hire me to make things look organic. Okay. We know that you manipulate your audience and you have a pretty good handle on how to do that, Candace.
Gave us emotion. She gave us emotion. She said, I'm a mother, I am a wife, and we never asked about whether she was mother or wife. We want to know if she is a CEO and a chairman.
Mother and a wife. Candace, what kind of excuses did you give to why you can't go on Monday to listen to them answer these questions that you haven't been harping about for 3 months? Is it you have to homeschool your kids that are all little teeny tiny? You have to ask your husband. You got to get that permission because you're a wife and you're a mommy. Candace, it's utter crap. It's utter crap. And by the way, when she was pregnant, she mentioned that all the time. That if she was when she was pregnant. Anyway, let's keep going.
And a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. A CEO and a chairman cannot respond to valid questions and critiques about finances, about shady actions that are being taken by people that require presidential pardons.
By the way, they like requested something from the Trump administration, that like the IRS, some reports for their financials, and they're like, you're not under investigation and you guys file your stuff on time, because there are allegations about that stuff too. So yeah, she's been doing things that are responsible, including, as you know, Candace, getting everyone together and compiling a list of people, I guess, that you have accused of crazy stuff to come together on Monday to address those crazy allegations. You know this, you just wanted to go off.
People that are meaningfully asking why we are not getting a clear answer of what took place on September 10th. A CEO, okay, does not get to respond and say, that's my family.
Psycho. Oh boy. A lot of people, well, let me not mention that yet. There was, I saved this clip. I haven't watched it yet, but she mentioned something about COVID-19.
Yeah, we are in this garden, okay? And we're not getting out of this garden with the Fed slop narrative. We're just not getting out of the garden with trying to emotionally manipulate us and say it's not. This feels like COVID, right? It's not like COVID-19. It's like Candace 19. It's another fake. It's a fake virus. Like, oh, you got infected. You just can't do it. 6 feet social distancing from Candace Owens. We're gonna get every influencer on social media. 6 feet social distancing. Save lives. What are you, a grandma killer? What, you just don't like him? What? And then Tim's all fired up. She's a C-word. People are gonna die if you don't get this vaccine. And I'm like, I feel like maybe the government's not telling us the truth. We're right back to that, but it's Candace 19. It's Candace 19. That's what it is. And they think that maybe if they put the little 6 feet social distancing pads in the grocery store, that the PSYOP will win and make us believe that this is like common sense is the virus. I'm the common sense virus. It's coming around. It's so evil. Stay at home, wear a mask, save lives. You don't want to catch it. You don't want to catch the common sense, you guys. You don't want to catch it. Anyways, I dare. I'm sorry, I dare. And I have been very careful because I wasn't sure what direction she was going to go. If she was like, I was like, look, she's got a whole business that she's.
Okay, that's enough of that. So she does this quite a bit. First of all, is she alleging that COVID wasn't real? Like, 'cause she said fake virus. I just definitely know some people who almost died. If you guys have followed me for a while, you know my dad was in the hospital for quite some time and ended up coming home completely atrophied as far as his arms and legs, and he had to be taught how to rise up off the bed, raise his arms and legs, and eventually get up the stairs. So it was a real thing. Just want to be clear about that. Did they definitely do a psyop and propaganda? Oh yeah, they did. And we talked about that a lot. But what's interesting about Candace and some of her followers and stuff is that there are a lot of like, you know, COVID broke a lot of people's brains. Obviously the people who were like double, triple masking and living in bubbles, there's people who haven't left their house since COVID. I'm not joking. There are people who they were hysterical as far as their fear, and it they felt entitled to rage against other people, snitch on other people, be cruel to people, to celebrate people who died from COVID. Like there was that headline is like, pastor said that God is bigger than COVID but still died, or something along those lines. There are people who said, you know, we should mock people at their feet if they die of COVID, or people saying that they shouldn't be treated if they don't get vaccinated. It was a terrible time. People hiding information from the public. You know, my account on TikTok really never was the same after COVID. Like at first I got a lot of traction during that time, and then I reported on mass formation psychosis or something that was talked about on Joe Rogan, and then I was shadow banned for like 2 years. There was like nothing I could do to get on the For You page. And I had some good content that I pushed out, and people with big accounts would retweet my stuff. I reach out and like, hey, can you please, like, I'm shadow banned really bad. Like, can you please help me? And they just would not. And so there are times now like, where it can still go out and do well. But I feel like a TikTok's kind of a messed up space, at least for me. But it's just very hit and miss. That's why most of my videos are just kind of me straight talking to the camera, because I'm like, I don't know if I want to put a ton of effort into this, because there's no chance, it's not a good chance that just because something is like amazing content that it's going to do well. So I don't spend hours and hours upon TikToks now. So So yeah, COVID was a crazy time, but it also broke the brains of people who were like the don't trust the government conspiracy kind of people to some degree, obviously not everybody, but there's some people who are like, well, we can't trust them, they lied about this, so now they don't have any trust at all, or they claim that they don't have any trust at all, because the people that they do trust are people who tell you not to trust anyone else, like Candace Owens. So Candace Owens will use the fact that she didn't trust the vaccine and all the stuff to trauma bond, I guess, with other people who didn't trust the vaccine and things like that. And you're supposed to take her as an authority on issues because you were both right about this one particular thing. So when she had her beef with Ben Shapiro after October the 7th happened, and Ben started it by at least as far as publicly saying something, he said that Candace had a faux sophistication on the Israel matter, which was true. Pegged her, absolutely. That's what she was, demonstrating a faux sophistication on the issue. So she ran on Tucker's show to talk about Ben, and she's just like, and she did mention, she's like, I'm pregnant. That was around that time. She let us know. I mean, she was very pregnant at the time, so she didn't need to let us know, but she certainly did mention it. But she's like, oh, I don't know why Ben would, just, I know we've had differences in the past, like with COVID, like he's ready for the vaccine, and I wasn't, and she, that had nothing to do with the conversation, but she made sure to put that in there to prime the audience to be like, okay, Ben is someone I can't trust because his judgment was wrong here, but Candace was right about this particular thing. So just to one up him. Okay. So now she's doing this again, trying to make it seem like, well, everyone lied to you before, but you can trust me. Remember when the whole world was coming against me? They were and coming against you. Well, now they're coming against us. It's the common sense virus that they're trying to kill. They're telling you to social distance from me. Remember when they were lying to you about social distance and that didn't actually work and it was all a psyop? So that's who she's appealing to. And so I talked to you guys on Monday about how there was that thread about how there are Candace Owens supporters who are, like Midwestern moms and stuff like that. She used the term mommy sleuths in her video. So I guess I can call them mommy sleuths or mom sleuths or whatever the heck that means. But that's the phrase she used. And so I have been clicking through some profiles of some of the people who I see defend her. And I see some people who are, very skeptical of like vaccines and things like that. And, I'm just like, she's trauma bonding with these people. And I'm not saying that you can't be skeptical of this stuff. And even today, someone commented on one of my posts and they said it was a summary of basically events. I'm like, Candace said that only Erika get her to stop. Erika tells her to stop. Candace said the comment about like you can't be widowed into a CEO. And so they said, why do you care? And so I just I was like out and about and I just quickly wrote a list. And I'm like, okay, 1, I don't like lies. 2, I don't like liars. I'm very concerned about the kind of people who the things that she's saying, and the brainwashing from individuals who are listening. I also said I'm concerned about Charlie Kirk and whether he's going to be able to get justice. And I said something else, and I also said it was cruel. So they're like, you sound like you took the COVID jab. I'm like, nope, I didn't. I didn't. You had your shot to reply to me and you missed. That's what you went with. I don't know. People joke about that. Like, you sound vaccinated. as an insult, but what was interesting to me about that, it's no shocker. It's not breaking news to say that I'm morbidly obese, right? Like everybody can see that. So the jab, there was just a lot we didn't know about it. Obviously, it's a new thing. And there was a report very early on when it came out that it didn't stop the spread. So I'm like, okay, it doesn't stop the spread. So if it doesn't stop the spread, you can take it for you to lessen your symptoms if you get it. But as far as being like, you have to take it to protect me, that's not, if you can still get it, then stop pressuring me to get it if it's not really going to help you like that or whatever. And then, you know, the conversation about herd immunity, stuff that people just wanted to ignore that seemed like bizarre to me. So the virus was mostly affecting the very elderly and people with comorbidities. So Ben Shapiro, he was very much stay inside. Like he was annoying, to be frank, during that time. I made a couple videos and an article about Ben Shapiro during that time. But once his parents got vaccinated, he was really chill about it. He's like, you guys can do what you want to. I can give you the information. You can take it. You don't want, my parents are safe. That was his attitude. He was concerned about his parents and their lives. And once he knew they were protected, it's like, that's on you. And then Daily Wire sued the Biden administration. So kudos to them. Appreciate it. So if you were an old upper in age and you have some like serious comorbidities, it was a worthwhile conversation on whether or not you should gamble, and I'll say gamble, with taking that or not. And I'm in the age group that the COVID really wouldn't be a risk to me. But I got a comorbidity. So people who were dying around my age, they were hefty folks. So it was something to think about. I didn't want to, I'd rather take the risk of not taking it than take it and then something be wrong. And I have some kind of reaction to it. And I'm like, I'll leave my fate up to the Lord in that regard. And to my knowledge, I never caught it. I also never took a test, so I can't verify that, but never got sick or anything. Praise the Lord, I made the right choice. Okay. But if I had, that wouldn't have been an unreasonable thing given my comorbidity. So people were like, oh, you took it. It wouldn't have been unreasonable. It wasn't worth the gamble to me. And that was a decision people had the right to make. They had the right to make that decision. But throwing it out as an insult to try to disregard everything that I'm saying, even though I can clearly post different things about Candace lying, and then just we're having a conversation about just common decency, and you want to say, it sounds like you took the jab. I didn't. But again, in my circumstance, it wouldn't have been the craziest thing in the world if I had. I didn't though. I didn't. And again, if people are still out there saying it was fake or what, my grandma did die with COVID. She was up there in age. That's what finally got her. But I'll say with COVID, because she was way up there as high as you can get as far as the upper age category. But my dad was hospitalized for, I don't know, it could have been like a month. I'm not exactly sure. It was like he went in right after the election in November. He was there for weeks. He missed Thanksgiving. And he had to end up going back to the hospital. But it was a terrible time. It was very hard on my family. Especially very hard on my mom. So, I know people were crazy during that time. If you follow me for a long time, you know I was reporting on people being crazy. I was hard striked from YouTube during that time. I got a hard strike around last September. No. It was around Thanksgiving of last year. I had another strike on my account because I told a story about a father who had lost their child after you know what. And I got the hard strike. When we get a hard strike, you can't, if you have a warning on your account, you can't post for like a week or whatever. And they made me take like a misinformation slideshow test or whatever. And I swear that there was something from the Atlantic about a story. Oh yeah. Oh, I don't even want to say this out loud in case I'll get another strike from YouTube, but the Atlantic did a story about children may have you know what from you know what. And I'm like, I saw that today. I haven't had a chance to read the article. Maybe this we'll talk about tomorrow if I'm brave. If I want to risk the account. But I'm like, oh, we can say that now? Because YouTube was not playing. YouTube was not playing back then. Or even last year. I was floored. I'm like, y'all still getting people for this? They were, in fact, still getting people for that. But Candace is going to make Candace 19 shirts and stuff and capitalize it off of this. And she is manipulating her audience. She's quite good at it, apparently. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why people are falling for it. So, like, here's a tweet. Candace 19 is spreading. To stay safe, please believe the $1 billion campaign of social media influencers reminding you to do your part. What do you mean $1 billion campaign? Who's paying people $1 billion, Candace? What do you mean? What does that mean? $1 billion campaign of social media influencers reminding you to do your part and trust the feds. Don't go Max, get the vax. It was a lone shooter on a roof with a magic bullet. We're all in this together. By the way, we don't know what kind of bullet it was. We like I saw a good video, at least to me it seemed like a good video. I'm not an expert, talking about how we just simply do not, all these people were like, I recreated this, I shot all these deer in my life, I'm a hunter, blah blah blah. There's not enough information that we have to definitively say that a 30-06 couldn't have been the weapon. But it you know but why would if it was so impossible, so improbable, why would the feds plant that gun? Why would they plant that? None of what they say makes any sense. Why would they plant that gun? Why? If it's just so nonsensical. Maybe you guys have seen too many movies. MLK was shot by 30-06. So these are some crazy folks. I think that's all I want to say as far as her back and forth with Erika. People have been adding Megyn Kelly, asking like, where are you at? Because she clearly is coming for her now. So Erika's also a mom and she was a wife. So where are you on that? Also, people are questioning and pushing on like Michael Knowles and stuff because he did like retweet Erika's interview and just talked about how kind of sad it was. And people are like, why don't you, Candace is the one who's causing this devastation. Why don't you say her name? Now, I don't know what they can and can't say the Daily Wire. Obviously, Bennett said her name a few times. Michael I believe, is the godfather of at least some of her children. So they were close. So I understand it's a difficult position for him. But at some point, you gotta tell the truth. I just can't imagine someone acting this crazy, even if they were really close to me, and just being silent the whole time. That's just not how I was raised. Like, we call each other out and correct all the time. So so many people being silent for so long is just not my thing. I don't get it. Anyway, I want to read to you guys this article that I saw today about Candace Owens. Not about Candace Owens, written by Candace Owens. So for those of you who don't know, Miss Candace used to run a website called Degree 180, and it was like a liberal, well, yeah, I guess I call it a liberal blog, but it wasn't so much about politics. So I saw someone must have retweeted this or pointed this out today, especially due to some of the commentary she's had about Erika and how she's acted toward Erika, and like reading the text messages from, like, I love being Charlie's wingman, a wing woman, and him going on dates, and I love that, and I love, him asking about, oh, does this shirt look cute, and blah blah blah. And some people, after I saw that, I'm like, I know people are pushing the theory that she was in love with Charlie. I wasn't totally into that. I saw that video, I'm like, okay, that's a little bit more compelling. And how she's responded to Erika, I'm like, okay, that's a bit more compelling. I'm not there yet. I just think it's really a lot of not just jealousy toward Erika, but also Charlie, and narcissism and things like that. And someone mentioned in the comments that Tim Pool said that there are people around her that said that she actually didn't like Charlie and would talk trash about him. A.G. Hamilton had said that people in his circle had conversations or heard Candace say that she didn't really care for Charlie either. So when she posts things about them, they're always in the past. I don't think they maintain a close relationship, obviously. And Charlie, he was still trying to be respectful of their relationship and not really trash her, but he did not make the right decision at all. And I might not have enough time to rant the way that I want to rant about that, but maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. But let's go through this banger right here. I Think Affairs Are Romantic by Candace Owens. And I know this is going to piss a lot of people off, because cheating is awful. Because millions of families are torn apart year after year because therapy, because counseling, that's why. I mean, even without the promise of marriage, the devastation it causes on even the most basic levels of dating is unthinkable, horrible. But I think affairs are romantic. I've an admittedly twisted, I think this should be but an admittedly twisted mind. I was never swam along the masses where the world sees black lines. I am blinded by colors and shapes, wonderful patterns, daring zigzags, lyrical neons. We hear that someone has had an affair and the world cries out tragedy, but sweet comedy. Humor found not in the collateral damage of tears, but in our inescapable humanity. I laugh with the universe as it silently mocks our institutions, marriage, dating, and their associated obligations. Structured lines make believe lines rendered powerless by our inevitable chaos. By the one look, and then lust. The one sentence, and then the fall. And falling is falling after all. It's a descent and then a crash, without intent, purpose, or control. Nobody falls on purpose. It's fatal misstep, and then gravity. At risk to both yourself and others. Institution broken rules. Subsequent anger, hurt. A fall nonetheless. Because it's the soul that's got the mind on a leash after all. nature nurtures master. And I think those kinds of affairs are romantic, the kind that knock two people out of their minds, head in the ground, feet in the clouds, and nothing was ever the same. And yes, that is written by Candace Owens. This particular, I recognize this particular picture. It's from you can get it's stock website stuff. I've used that before actually. There you go. January 6th, 2016. This was before she did RedPillBlack, before she made the switch, before I believe Social Autopsy. But what a sick thing to write. This was said how Catholic of her. She wasn't Catholic then. She probably wasn't very religious at all. Let's see if I can get to more of her articles from here. There's another one that's interesting. This is on the Wayback Machine. This website doesn't exist anymore. This is her profile. Little known fact about me, I invented the Eggo waffle. I didn't get credit for it, but I did. I swear. How interesting. My 10-year hope for the future, no more plastic, because what will archaeologists from year 30 think when they dig up our bones and plastic falls from our faces? Can't be the only one that's self-conscious about that. Everybody repeat after me. Life is not that serious. I'm not that cool. I'm so sorry, ladies, but we can never stop faking our orgasm is one. Okay. I just read the affairs one. I'm trying to find. She didn't write all the. There's a team that writes this stuff. Here we go. This one's hers. I don't know if I can click on it from here. Maybe I gotta open up another one. Okay, let me find the link. Isn't that crazy, guys? I just think she's always been a kind of a different person. Doesn't mind scandal, likes it because controversy gives her power. Does she really like affairs? I don't know, maybe not, but did writing things like that maybe get attention? Not in the way she obviously wanted, because I don't know if it did. I assume maybe she'd probably still be doing it. There was someone who, I think it was after she spoke at CPAC or something. There was some liberal who said that Candace Owens started a left-wing blog and people were too dumb. This was a Newsweek article. James Koser, senior advisor for the website Really American, tweeted Monday morning. Actually, okay, I don't know if he's a liberal actually, but tweeted Monday morning, just a reminder that Candace Owens tried to make money off liberals by running a very liberal blog. When she failed to get money out of liberal who were too smart to buy her crappy writing and brand, she suddenly became ultra conservative. And that was a post back in 2021. And so they did a fact check on this, and yeah, she did do this blog way back when. So this one's interesting too. Okay. Bleep girl code. I can hook up with your ex-boyfriend if I want to. I am so sick, like literally projectile vomiting green onto the ceiling, exorcism status sick of what various women are beginning to distort as the guidelines of our girl code. You see, what I had remembered it being was an ethical system of support meant to empower women and strengthen the relationships between them. I believe that may have been the intentional intention behind the ambiguous code when it first surfaced, right? But it seems that may be fast becoming the vintage definition because what the so called code is being reduced to, what it now carries with it, is an inclusion cause for that bat bleep crazy antics and excuses made by insecure women placing unfair restrictions and expectations upon other women with an added reverse psychological twist of she's not a girl's girl. So bleep it then, I'm not a girl's girl. If a girl's girl means that I have to watch the way I'm speaking to your ex, see former boyfriend, because you used to don't anymore date him, and you and I are not C, no B, we are not friends, then yep, you caught me red-handed, sister. I am just not a girl's girl. I am not so terrified of the repercussions here because just what will people think of me when they learn that I go around and sleep with single guys? Don't be that girl. That's the high class insult that's making the rounds amongst the more pompous crowds of ladies because they're not going to fight you. They won't throw a drink at you. They just want to pull you aside and offer you some friendly life advice that what you're doing is lowbrow. After all, you're beautiful. You're so much better than being that girl. Nobody wants to be that girl. Do not try to misrepresent your insecurity with me, home chick. You can put toilet water in a glass decanter and then set it on the top shelf. It still reeks. Attempting to repackage your blatant lack of confidence as an educational kumbaya will get you nowhere very quickly with me. In fact, if you would like an express ticket to nowhere, try that elementary approach with me and I'll see you to it. I am the thattiest girl of all. Seriously, I can trademark. Can I trademark the term? Because I am that girl that is not going to be made to feel like some uncivilized whore because I hooked up with someone that you are. Here comes a zinger. No longer dating. Remember, I don't understand what level of respect you girls, and I am using the word girls in lieu of women here, expect from me when I am not your friend. Just how exactly do you think the world operates outside of your own heads? Am I supposed to ask a guy who is hitting on me at a bar and whom I find attractive whether or not he has an ex-girlfriend who I should be paying a Grammy style tribute to? Would you like an interpretive dance of your past fights, a dramatic reading of your once so in love text messages? Oh, she does love those dramatic reading of the text messages, does she not? Please respond in kind of just what exactly it is you're looking for from me. Should I learn that I am conversing with your ex-boyfriend? I am not responsible for your relationship, not the beginning, not the end, and most certainly not the after the end portion. When your twisted little heart expects all of us other women to wear black and mourn the day you two parted ways. Bank on this. If you are not a non-friend of mine and you see me at a bar talking to your ex, I'm likely not paying my respects to your past relationship because I could not give less of a bleep if I actually tried. In fact, if I were put to task, I would literally have to sit in a 12-hour board meeting with my most trusted advisors to strategize on how I could possibly give less of a bleep than I do right now. What prompted this article? This is like still going. We're talking zero bleeps, dead on the inside. No, I do not care. So back that bleep up all the way into someone else's parking garage, sweetheart. This one is full. I once hooked up with the ex-boyfriend of a girl I went to high school with. Let me be clear, I was by no means friends with this girl, but I guess what happened anyway when she found out she lost her marbles. Actually, lost her marbles sounds innocent and childlike, like a game of Mancala, I don't know. This it was more like a game of Jumanji, meaning she lost her entire stampede of elephants in my house, and I had to roll a double six to save the world. I remember I was at work, 20 years old at the time, and she sent me a string of text messages that read like I had just had sex with her husband on a late grandfather's favorite armchair chair. And do you want to know how I responded to those text messages? I didn't, because I literally do not know how to break the news to anyone that their ex-boyfriend is single. It's difficult. And for any of you people who are thinking, but there are plenty of other fish in the sea, you are absolutely right. Her boyfriend was one of them. He was single. Do you get it now? Are you starting to get this now? We were two of the much storied plenty of the other fish in the sea. Oh, and we all know how that story ended. She thought I was terrible, awful human being and got back together with him weeks later to prove a point, because that's just what these kinds of women do. But that right there is the opposite of girl code, homie. That's using a blameless woman as a scapegoat to your own very apparent misery. The point of all this is to serve as a could be friendlier reminder to you all that there is nothing proprietary about your former relationships, least of all between you and some random follow-up chick who owes you nothing. That seems to be a concept that men gasp fully, and that we may stand to benefit from mirroring. So let's agree to stop the dirty looks, stop the stinky drink tossing, and most especially the usage of the hardly pretentious "that girl" label in a sentence. Stop distorting the sacredness of the real girl code to mask your insecurities. Okay. Yeah. So interesting stuff on the website. That she did like say some stuff about Tea Party people being crazy and not liking Donald Trump and stuff, but it was mostly like, I don't think very political. But yeah, so after she did her this blog, there was a social autopsy where it was like a site that like kept track of what people did online and kind of doxed them and stuff. And so she got huge backlash for that. And after that backlash, she kind of reinvented herself and became a right wing talking head. So that's the story of Candace Owens. And now she's at the point where she doesn't believe in the right left dynamic. She doesn't want to be fed slave slop. She doesn't care about the midterms. She said she's not voting for anyone until they get Charlie's killer and all this stuff. Which, they already apprehended the killer. So she's not on our side. I don't care how much she trauma bonded over COVID with Candace Owens. She's not on your side. And it was funny when she did talk to Tucker about the COVID stuff, because I'm like, I know Tucker was a COVID person. He apparently like tried to convince Trump to like take it more seriously and stuff, and Fox like made their people take that stuff. So him going down the Ben's judgment is clouded is just absurd. Anyway, something I just want to mention on the side has got nothing to do with Candace or anything. I saw maybe we'll talk about it more tomorrow. Vivek is running for governor of Ohio. I do not think that he basically should have been anointed by the Republican Party. That's wild to me. But there was a poll, an Emerson poll, that had him behind. Acton is at 46%, and Ramaswamy is at 45%. The last poll they did had Ramaswamy up by 10. Now, there were some people saying like, oh, well, the national polls had Kamala up. They, no, I mean, some may have had her up, but maybe they're up by 2 or something like that, with like within the margin of error. It depends when they did the survey, of course, or the poll rather. I don't want the Democrat to win. if you follow my content for a while, you know I'm not too fond of Ramaswamy. So I'm not gonna try to like really bash him or whatever, because I ultimately I do want him to win. I don't want the Democrat to win. I'll be tribal in that way, but I hope and people were like, well, DeWine was, you know, they had stuff close and he ended up winning by 4 maybe. I just think Republicans need to be really serious about the midterms and really get their gears and kick everything into high gear, get their ground game together. The RNC has to have a plan, a really good ground game. The state parties have to have really good ground games. The campaigns have to have really good ground games, take nothing for granted, especially with the female vote, the youth vote, the Hispanic vote. The media has been, of course, attacking Trump nonstop on immigration and other things like that. And the Democrats aren't trying to be as crazy with the trans issues and other things like that, like they were. They're trying to act like they got some sense and they want to talk about the economy. And there are some things that they're exaggerating about the economy, but there are some ways that, you know, people are still feeling it. And Trump still saying the lines of your kids don't need $3 or whatever isn't a great line. Ramaswamy has to run his own race. But I think he has some challenges. We can talk about that more in depth later. But they shouldn't have like easily anointed him. They should have had a robust and vigorous primary. Just because you ran for president doesn't mean that you should be anointed into winning the nomination in Ohio. But I don't want the Democrat to win. So hopefully they figure out a game plan. And because even it being this close right now, that energizes the Democrats, right? And they knock doors, make phone calls, do everything that they need to flip Ohio, if they can. But I wish them luck, I guess. We'll talk about that more later. Anyway, let me look at some of your comments. Someone said, when Candace left the Daily Wire, I thought Ben Shapiro was a problem. Rethinking after seeing Candace is full out evil. I always knew that was Candace. If you haven't seen it, I did cover that saga and talked about like why is Ben mad at Candace and stuff. I've written articles about it if you don't want to watch an hour show. But I do have that video on YouTube, and I would just go back and if you look through Black Tea and Candace, you'll eventually see there's a couple of Candace videos I've done, but it was about I guess what was that, 2023, and I think maybe it was November when I posted it, November 2023, if not December. But I thoroughly went through a lot of clips, tried to be as fair to her as possible, and just explained like this evolution of her anti-Semitism, because it wasn't just criticizing Israel. But the issue with Ben, though, I mean, the Daily Wire, like I wonder how much reflection they're doing. Really there just needs to be a lot of reflection from Republicans, period, on this whole situation. Because there are people who they see a Black person, I'm just gonna be frank, and they start talking trash about Democrats and they automatically get excited. And it's like, okay, are you vetting these people? Like there's some crazy stuff that Candace written and what she believed like prior to becoming RedPillBlack. And the way she came out the gate was controversial, but it got her enough eyes and she said the right things for a lot of people, and they pushed her, they elevated her, and she got, basically fast tracked into having everything in this space. And if you look at, I don't know, some of the conversations that she had, like when she got into the whole controversy with her talking about Hitler and nationalism, she got into trouble because she was talking about something she had no idea what those terms even meant. But she was saying things that maybe she didn't know she was wrong, but she didn't know what she was talking about. And people took her out of context, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, she's defending Hitler. What she said wasn't like, it was sloppy. I didn't take it as her trying to be pro Hitler, but I think she was kind of playing a character in a lot of regards, and I don't know what she really truly believes and what her real true motivations and stuff are. But I just know I'm not too fond of her actions. But I always thought she was too controversial for the Daily Wire, and I was really surprised when they decided to bring her on. And before her things on Israel, there were other behaviors that were not, I thought, becoming of the Daily Wire. That went on. So that's obviously not good. I don't know how much, again, Turning Point decided to look into Candace before they brought her on. And she had this story, like exciting story to people, like, oh, I was a Democrat, I flipped because of X, Y, and Z. And not that people don't, like, for real do that, but she's obviously, in hindsight, been a problem. And there's a lot of people who haven't been speaking up for a while, when it's been obvious she's been an issue for a while. And now they're speaking up. Or there's a lot of people still silent. But people could have addressed it earlier. Charlie could have addressed it earlier. And unfortunately, his widow has to deal with a lot of this crap. But Charlie alone shouldn't have spoken up. But I do think Charlie should have. So we gotta be more careful about, who we, like, just really gravitate toward, and be less apprehensive about correcting even our friends. Like, if they're your friend, they can take correction. They should be able to know where you stand. So people demanding people speak out or say something or whatever. Like, there's this video which Charlie was asked about Candace, and he's like, well, we disagree on some things, but we see the Israel stuff differently. We had this great friendship and stuff, but he obviously didn't want to throw it under the bus. But he went on to say, this idea where people, like, you got to condemn this person, we can't be friends. And he's like, that's a left-wing tactic and idea, and conservatives shouldn't fall into it. I think if he had known what was going to happen, he would address things differently. I think, as far as that being a rule of, like, the outside demanding people to denounce this person or say something, you could have disagreements on, like, tax policy or something. I mean, if you're Republican, I guess you guys should kind of be on the same page about that. But, like, maybe you can have some economic debates or variations on some social things here or there. But Candace was going down a dark path, and it was worth addressing. It really was. So Charlie's no longer here, but there's a lot of people still not speaking up. And I wonder why. Allie Beth Stuckey said there's no benefit to really addressing Candace because she's got a lot of fans who attack you or whatever, and she always makes it a bigger thing or whatever. She decided to go ahead and talk about it and address stuff on her show, hoping that she could reach the people in her crowd, in her audience. And I guess I hope I can convince some people too. I know this is the last straw for a lot of people. But she's got her army of mommy sleuths, I guess. And I don't want them to be radicalized into more things. Someone said address in what way? You mean like friends addressing when they disagree on different subjects? I think Dennis Prager, it took him a long time to address Candace, for example, but he did thoroughly address her. I don't think it got enough eyeballs on it. Like, not everyone was to read a 15-page letter. But Candace Owens, she had a ton of conspiracies, and a lot of her conspiracies about the Jews, it's hard for a lot of people to grasp because it's just a lot of like neo-Nazi conspiracy stuff. And if you're not familiar with them or some of the different history or whatever, then it's hard to follow. And if she says this stuff, then you maybe think she's authority on the matter because she has this platform, and she can make her stuff sound pretty convincing, I guess, to some people. There's a lot of things that she would say that I'd have to look up, you know. I did try to warn people. I had a list of conspiracies that I put on my Facebook page. And I'm like, these are some of the things that Candace has been pushing and believing in it on X. I guess she sprinkles that stuff in her own podcast or whatever, but she has said some wild stuff on X. Some people are like, why you don't even watch her podcast all the time? How can you criticize? She says wild stuff on X. There's plenty to talk about. So Dennis Prager, he didn't say anything for a while when she was clearly doing all these blood libels and about Jews and criticizing Israel in insane ways and stuff. And she used to work for PragerU. So people were wondering, where's Dennis here? So Dennis eventually responded and wrote a letter. And he explained that he wanted to make sure that he was fair to Candace and that he really investigated and got the claims that she was making and that he presented the stuff in context to correct her. And he let her know that he was going to make the letter public. I mean, she did publicly make all those accusations and stuff. So when people are saying all this stuff in public, you can have a private conversation with someone, but you do need to address it also for the public, especially if it's for their overall benefit. So they're not all going down these dark rabbit holes. So he reached out to her. And she did respond and said, "Oh, thank you, Dennis. I worked with you and you're great. And I'll go through your letter and respond to your letter." From my knowledge, she never responded to his letter. It was quite thorough, debunking many of the things that she would spread. You can still find it, the 15-page letter. I know I think a person or two have done videos on YouTube about it. But again, not everybody wants to read something that long. But he did address her. And she never really responded because he had her dead to rights. But at least he did that. I think if Charlie, because she's going around claiming that she was his best friend, and there's all these people who repeat that she's the only one looking for stuff. She's the only one who cares about Charlie, which is insane and sounds cultish. But if it was clear that if there was a clear rebuke, it would be different. It'd be different. At least a little different. I think she'd still try to play her games, but you don't really see videos of him rebuking her for her different conspiracies and so on. He could have said, "Hey, let's sit down and talk this out and really debate this, and I can correct some of these things." And like I've talked to the IDF and people in Israel, and I've been on the ground and I've seen the stuff, and like we can talk this stuff out. But he just kind of let her be in her crazy ethos, and he's gone, and she's still here saying all this crazy stuff and trying to take out Turning Point. Someone today well, I guess it was yesterday, said to me, like, oh, for a guy who loves Israel, he sure did question it a lot. Like when he accused them of an ethnic cleansing before he said literally before he died. And I'm like, when did Charlie accuse Israel of an ethnic cleansing? Like, what do you mean? So he finds a video from 2 years ago. Now, mind you, he said literally before Charlie died. So I'm thinking a couple days before he died. If you're going to say literally before he died, it was 2 years ago. It was that video when he was on the Patrick Bet David? I know I always kind of screw up his first name. Patrick Bet David show. And it was right after October the 7th. And that was when Charlie asked questions like, was there a stand-down order? Now, Charlie was like, didn't mean that to be like Netanyahu wanted it to happen, therefore he told everyone to stand down. He's like, basically they have deep state and all, and maybe did someone want to sabotage him. So he was throwing out accusations. I didn't think that was appropriate at the time, and I did criticize Charlie for it. But he said, you know, talking about how Israel had a moral obligation to go seek the blood for those who killed, you know, these people and kidnapped their folks and stuff. And he said, you know, Israel's going to do like an ethnic cleansing. So he did say it in there. And so I kept watching it though, because Charlie, I mean, the way that, because Charlie was like, they got to go and they got to fight and they got to win this and stuff. So I kept watching. And so someone asked a question to clarify. He's like, okay, so you say ethnic cleansing. He's like, I'm not accusing them of doing that. I'm not saying that Israel's doing that. I'm saying other people will say that they're doing that. So I was glad that I watched this clip. and I continue watching it, and I'm like, because this person was like sending a ton of like messages like at me, because I was like, where's the proof? And then I didn't notice them sending links or whatever. And then they sent a message today saying, you're dodging me, you're ghosting me, and you just want to indoctrinate your audience and not care about actual facts and stuff. And I'm like, I get so many notifications from people all the time. Like when someone doxed me the other day and like threatened me, my sister had to be like, hey, did you see this? Or I got a death threat that was sent to me. Not a death threat. Someone told me to kill myself. And they're like, hey, you got fan mail. When my sister says I got fan mail, it's never from a fan. So I get so many notifications. If I don't respond to you, it's nothing personal, I promise. There's just a lot of responses. And even if I'm going back and forth with you, I can't like continuously do that forever, because there's so many notifications. I know I just told you my sister gets notification stuff about my stuff sometimes, but I'm the one who runs the page and it's just me. It's a lot. So I can't talk to everybody all the time with all these replies. So I watched the link that he sent, and I'm like, you kept bothering me this whole time about something, and it literally disproves what you said. It literally disproves. But you got all these people who are so determined to believe that Charlie was anti-Israel because that's what Candace was pushing and stuff. And you can look at so much of his content to know that he was pro-Israel. But Candace really took advantage of their friendship and his kindness to not go after her. And I just think he should have really at least publicly rebuked her. And they had like a public kind of separation anyway, even though he wouldn't publicly talk about her. But I don't think it was enough. But we'll see what Megyn Kelly and other folks do. I don't I guess think a ton about Megyn Kelly after the way she defended Tucker again while debating Ben. Supposed to be interviewing Ben, but ended up being a debate. But in light of Candace Owens, I don't understand Turning Point still keeping a relationship with Tucker. I know, again, that Charlie wanted to have him speak and so on. But he's a real problem too. He's a real problem too. I thank God for Ben saying something about it. And he has far more political power than Candace Owens. Far more. So what are they doing? They better learn the lesson. I mean, they're going to do whatever they're going to do. But I hope they learn a lesson. Anyway, thank you kindly for watching. Please go to blacktnews.com. Check out different content on the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because there's cost to stream, run my site, other good so you guys can support. Very much appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can check out merch that's available on the website. So I recommend that you guys go and you see what's there. And you guys can also check out some of my mini books that I have available. There's a link that with my books on it on the merchandise page. Why do I believe Tucker's a problem? I don't have the time right now to Okay. If I could, I'll just briefly throw it out there. Tucker Carlson has been interviewing people, platforming people, and he won't push back on them, and they're pretty harmful propaganda voices. Like he had someone who was on denying like what was going on in Nigeria to the Christians and stuff. I've talked about how he didn't push back on the Obama guy, but that's just him not being honest. That one's not particularly harmful. Like the Andrew Tate interview, for example, he allowed Andrew Tate to basically continuously lie about his cases, but he's had all kind of propaganda, people who push all kind of propaganda on his platform, and you'll see him be very aggressive with Ted Cruz, but not with these other people. But he's done things like he'll talk about being a Christian, but then he'll try to separate like Old and New Testament and try to disregard like the idea of Judeo-Christian values, which Candace does too, while also uplifting Islam in the sense of trying to make it to mock people who think it's a problem. Like he mocked people who think Sharia law is a problem. When he's on Piers Morgan the other day, he said that it was a psyop for people to, not like Muslims and stuff like that. And he's like, we know who's doing it. And I'm like, I can just read the Quran and have an issue with it. He talked about how our morals are founded by the New Testament because he wants to keep that separation from the Old Testament, basically because he wants to exclude Jewish people. And it's just not true that our morals and values as a nation aren't founded on the Old Testament. The Liberty Bell has scriptures from the Old Testament. The idea that we're made in the image of God is the Old Testament. Ten Commandments is in the Old Testament. But the reason why he did that is because he's trying to paint, he said, like, it's a uniquely Christian thing where we don't support collective punishment, because he wants it in the idea in people's minds that basically Jewish people think they're special and that's why they can murder everybody in Gaza. And he keeps lying about the intentions of the IDF and will say that they bomb Christians and stuff on purpose. And his reasoning to why he know that it's on purpose is because, and I'm, not joking, when he would say, well, they did this beeper operation and things, and they're so precise in these other ways. So them being really good at their jobs, if there's some kind of mistake, then it's not actually a mistake. They're killing them on purpose. And he say they didn't apologize, which isn't true. So it's just a lot of slander. There's also revisionist history. He's allowed people who have like really corrupt and skewed perceptions of history, and Churchill, and views about like the United States and our place in the world, and that just, it makes us look like the bad guys and the Allied forces not great and stuff, and like we didn't really win anything by winning World War II. He said things like the nuclear bombs were demonically inspired, and that Nagasaki was implied it was targeted because to kill Christians, which isn't the case. And Candace has said things like that too. Is that enough? Someone said, "Are you actually listening to him?" Yes, yes. Yes. So, I mean, I could pull some of this stuff up. I just don't have the time today. I am writing an article. I'm working on an article. I've been working for a minute about how I think the two greatest threats to the West are like Marxism and also fundamental. Let me just say radical Islam. I was going to say fundamental Islamic fundamentalism. But you could say radical Islam or whatever. And like I said, Candace and Tucker are both trying to tear down the idea of Judeo-Christian values so they can like push out any sort of, Judaism past, the Old Testament or whatever. Like Candace, I don't even have time to go through all this stuff, but they keep making it seem like Islam isn't that bad either. And that's an issue. I don't trust people who are trying to say these Jews are so terrible. We need to ally with all these Muslims and Islam. And that's dandy. I don't trust it. That's suspicious to me. Like Candace Owens said that Jews have always killed Christians and blamed Muslims. So she also said that she's more concerned with Zionists than she is with like Islam, and Zionism has played has her more scared than Islam. So I promise you I can bring all these receipts, and I'm once I get an article finished about this, I will have to make a video about it, I guess. Probably not a live, probably like a thorough video with tons of these clips explaining this context. I know I'm kind of sound like I'm rambling because I'm just trying to go off the top of my head with some of this stuff, but someone said Marxism and Islam sounds like Hassan Piker and his uncle Cenk. Cenk, he says he's a avowed atheist, but man, he did get really mad the other day on Twitter after Anna had a conversation with Bill Maher, and he was like, Bill Maher hates Muslims and blah blah blah. So he says he's an atheist, but Hassan Piker is an issue. Isn't it funny how much Hassan Piker was in the mainstream media after Charlie died? I'm like, this guy has been very pro-violence. Very pro-violence. Anyway, thank you. Kit Kat said, yes, Tucker does actually do and say those things. An honest person who watches him knows this, and he gives softball interviews to terrible people, even though he knows how to grill people. Absolutely. And then I don't know how much people pay attention to his newsletters too. Like he claims he's not obsessed with Israel. He talks about it all the time. He also tried to downplay like Zoran Mamdani. Like, oh, they say he's a communist. No, he's like a communist. What are you talking about, Tucker? And tried to downplay like his connections with jihadists and things like that. And I just and also he's trying to question like Israel's our ally, but we should really consider Qatar. by the way, I'm going to have a house built there. He was just in Qatar. He was just there. He was just there. And he also said something that wasn't true, that until President Trump, no president had stood up to sided with an Arab interest over Israel. And that's totally not true. And people started compiling different lists and stuff. And I meant to do a video about it. I just haven't had the time. Anyway, I hope that like briefly answered some of those questions about my issues with Tucker. And I'll have to put them together more concisely for you guys and have receipts. I've been liking and bookmarking things for a minute. I just haven't had the time. But I think it's important to talk about. And this a lot of stuff has been a distraction, obviously. But that is important to talk about. To talk about the trans violence and stuff is also important to talk about. And that's the violence of the left. And it is so wild to me that people don't want to accept that a leftist was radicalized to do this terrible deed and killed Charlie because he believed that he was hateful. Like it's I know someone told me the other day it's too convenient, but it makes a lot more sense, and it's a lot less convenient than Candace Owens thinking Israel and the French were in on it. So anyway, thank you guys. I'm not going to do a whole new closing. You guys know where to go to find more stuff. God bless you guys, and I'll see you next time.